All right, traders, welcome to the end of day as well as end of week video. This is Christian Farmer at Strategic Trade Group, and it is Friday, August 9th. Happy Friday. And even before I get to the end of the video, just wishing you a great weekend. It's been a interesting week for the markets, a volatile week. But things kind of turned out pretty somewhat positive, depending on what index that you looked at. The Qs finished up 40 basis points for the week. So again, not a huge margin, but from where we started the week, not bad. And I believe that snaps a 4 week down week for the Qs. So pretty impressive. Also, the semis snap a three. I mean, I remember last week the semiconductors were down 9%. Week prior to that, down 3%, and the week prior to that, down 9.6%. That's a huge drawdown for one group of stocks. Now, that group of stocks was leading. But man, that's a big move. So they did bounce back 3%. Here are the Qs, which I was just mentioning that they were down 4 weeks in a row. So again, just barely back to positive. These are weekly returns, by the way. Each number represents a week, but 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks down, and was almost five, considering had this not had we not seen a rally yesterday and a little bit of follow through today. Actually, today clinched it because Qs were up about a 0.5% today. So without today's price action, the Qs would have been down for 5 weeks in a row. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving any advice or recommendations. Let me see if I can make this video just about 10 minutes long. Choppy day overall, but they're once again still seeing some names from earnings reports that are doing well. Lilly had a nice follow through day today. And other names like Upstart, names that kind of just surprised a lot, are continuing to run a bit. The cyber group was your strongest group today. Software, again, like to me, that's one of the biggest standouts of the earnings season is how many software names are doing well. Now, there's a lot of names that miss too in software. It's a pretty volatile group. But I was impressed with things like GoDaddy, Tyler Technologies, Zeta, and a few others in there too. Aspen Technologies was another one too that was very strong. But there's probably about 4 or 5 other ones that you can name along with the ones that I just named. Also, speaking of the cyber group, two strong reports, Fortinet and CyberArk. Very strong in terms of those earnings reports. Interesting for the day. Not everything was up. You had your small caps that were down a little bit. We've got micro caps that are down 80 basis points, and bonds had a rally today, which broke a streak of a few days down. So nice move there. So that kind of wraps up today's price action. Clean energy stocks really underperformed today. PBW was down 2.9%. The solar ETF down 2%. This is your 5-day average, but I think there's something that's, oh yeah, this cell should be green. So that's the error there. Calculation is right. There you go. Up for about 0.4 of a percentage point for the week. Small cap value underperformed this week. Both small caps and small caps were weak this week, but value was worse. And small caps did finish down for the week, down 1.2%. All right, there's your performance for the day. A couple things to talk about before we finish for the week. Let me just pause this one. Also, what's notable here too is the VIX was down 14% for the day. That brings it back to the 20 handle. So still slightly in backwardation for the week, but things are almost straightening themselves out. Very interesting because I sent out a midday note, and so right around like 12 o'clock today, the VIX was down about 5%. That continued to sell off pretty decently through the session and gets us all the way back to just about the 20 handle. And here is a quick visualization of the VIX curve. All the way on the left, you have like spot or basically front month, which again, back to the 20 handle. And you've got a little bit of a move up. Like the VIX is going to be a little bit more expensive because what do we have there, right? At the end of October, we have the election. So the VIX will probably stay a little bit heightened there. But going all the way out, I mean, this completely changes where we were just, a few days ago, which was the front month, which was bid up much more than the further out months. So still slightly in backwardation. And we'll see if we get back to contango regular markets next week. Speaking of next week, right, we've got a couple things to watch, and then I'll talk about the technicals. But interesting this week that you get the PPI report before the CPI report. So they're looking, remember the PPI report came in higher than expected last month. So it'll be interesting to see how this sets the bar, but that's Tuesday. And then Wednesday, you get the CPI report. Interesting. They're both of these reports. The estimates are zero point 0.2. It's a little bit of an easier hurdle to jump under. If that makes any sense, to jump under a hurdle, we come in 0.1 or 0, the market probably likes that. Specifically, what likes that in the past is IWM. We'll bring that market up just in a second. We will probably have a long IWM on trade, just like we did last month, which worked out really well. And by the way, that's a great example of how you can use options, right? You could set up a trade for small premium, and this way, the only thing that you could lose if you're wrong on the direction is the premium. Right? Speculation. That's mostly where options should be used for taking a shot at something, as well as also on the hedging side, right? Those are your two primary reasons for using options, right? S&P, we did get back above, the main thing that I wanted to see is us to reclaim the 5-period moving average. We're so far below the August value area that, baby steps, first things first, we held the 200-day moving average. And we're kind of returning back to this virgin point of control, which again was where a lot of volume that has previously occurred. Just looking at, I'm going to jump ahead to what the value area for next week looks like. Again, we get a lot of clues from the 1-hour chart, and it looks like most likely we're going to start above that new value area for next week, which is a small positive. Let's jump over to the Qs, and then we'll talk about IWM, which I've kind of lacked a little bit this week. I haven't talked too much about IWM. All right, so there you have it. Very similar to what the S&P is showing you here, is that price got back above this short-term 5-period moving average. Again, why is this significant or important to me? Because the 5-period moving average is basically captures the short-term trend, right? And you can go back and you can look at what happened in April too. Or excuse me, yeah, April. Yes, it was April, where we've stayed below the 5-period moving average. And then once you move above, you have some confirmation that the short-term trend is changing. So we kind of have that now too. And then we'll just have to watch overhead resistance. And I think as well, we'll watch to see right here around 447 is going to be the top of the value area for next week. We want to see price stay above that level. If not, then this recovery from the lows is in a little bit of jeopardy. All right, let's jump to IWM. Why IWM? IWM seems to move the most on CPI dates, and that's how we kind of set up last month. And here was the move, right? And not only did we have a huge move that day of the CPI, but we had follow-through activity. So number one observation is we've given back the entire move since that happened, just about, from where we were earlier in the week. So it sets up again, and I'm not sure if you're going to get the same type of move, but I will have a trade on in case that CPI report comes in a little bit lower. This will be the area that will probably benefit the most. All right, just going out on a limb there based on what prior movements have taken place on the CPI date. All right, so that's the main event, I think, for next week, both the PPI and the CPI report. And of course, we'll get some more earnings reports that will trickle through. As always, I don't show this every day in these end of day videos because it's for members, but hey, our watch list did really good. In fact, I went through all my open trades at the end of the day, and I put them in our. I did open position view, put every chart of every position that I'm in. I took off one trade today, but ultimately there was no real reason to take off my existing exposure. Most of the trades that I have on look pretty darn good, so keeping them on. This is just the watch list. Some of which, like some positions, I do take, like TMDX is a position that I took this week. VRNS is another name that I took this week. Really strong out of this software and security name. What else? I did not take ServiceNow, but ServiceNow did okay as well this week. Aerospace names continue to be very strong. In fact, if you look at sectors, by the way, there wasn't very many of them that had strength. Most of them had weakness. And this is looking at whether prices above the 5, the 20, and the 50-day moving average. If you note, most of these sectors are now have retaken their 5-period moving average. So not strength. Only strength would be if they're above all those short-term moving averages. The only ones that are doing that are healthcare, communications, consumer staples, utilities, REITs, and there's your aerospace down there as well. All right, but nothing right now says weak, meaning below all those moving averages. I'll go through more of this in the member video over the weekend and more details, but overall, very pleased to see how many names triggered and did really well on our watch list, as well as how our trading went this week as well. All right, guys, that is it for the weekend video. Have a wonderful weekend, and hope to see you in the trading room. If you're not a member of Tribeca Trade Group, you could check out our trading room and watch our analysis as we go by minute. Really did a lot of watching and having levels to trade and trying to separate the price action, which is always most important, versus all the noise that's out there. You can be a member of our trading room. You could go to tribecatradegroup.com and you could use the code for new members only, which is TTG new, right? And that gets you 50% off the first month. A great way to check out what we've got going on. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you on Monday.